Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Mick Alfany. Hey, if you enjoy any part of this video, I would greatly appreciate it if you click that like button. We have a lot of news today. Everything's looking real good. Really good, as a matter of fact. Anyway, this is from newsbtc.com and it's titled, XRP whales accumulate massive tokens. Is a bull run coming? Listen. I think you can all see where I'm going to go with this. They're accumulating a massive amount of XRP because the ending of the case could come at any time now in the next few months, at any time. You heard what Brad Garlinghouse said. And if there's a positive outcome to this case, which, by the way, we're going to have an article that might be explosive following this chapter about that. But if we win that XRP case, it's time to party. My goodness, I don't think people understand what's going to happen if we do win this SEC case. I believe that we can. But in the event that that judge gives us the victory, it's time to party. P-A-R-T-Y, because I gotta. Party time. Oh yeah. But let's read this a little bit here. But that's why I think they're accumulating. Could it result in a bull run? Sure. Things have been going okay for the crypto market as of late. Sure, it could result in that. It could be a bull run coming on. That's definitely a possibility. It says here, Whale Alert reported the whales had moved 128 million plus XRP worth close to $53 million in the last day. The largest whale activity recorded in that period was the movement of 35 million XRP worth around 15 million on the Bitstamp exchange. According to data, whales have purchased up to 69 million XRP tokens in 24 hours. The first accumulation noted by the Whale Alert is the addition of 33 million XRP, approximately worth $13 million to a Bitstamp address. We did it all in one breath. Give me my credit. We read all of that in one breath. You try. And I want you to and I want you to time it. Which one of us did it faster? Huh? Yeah. I read all of that in one take, one breath. It wasn't that smooth. I could have made it smoother. But anyway, so they're making big movements in preparation, of course. There's a lot happening. And listen, another thing. A lot of whales have advisors. They're very intelligent. They're great researchers, and they are letting them know, hey, listen, this is what they're saying. Hey, I guarantee you. They're saying, hey, listen, the legacy system, they're not in a good position right now. They need us for liquidity. They need us for interoperability. So we're well positioned. There's no guarantee, but we're well positioned. If this thing goes positively, boom. And so that type of thought process, which is, I think, held by most reasonable individuals who are actually reading the documents, actually looking in deeply into the partnerships that have been developed and a lot that are in development right now. That's the most insane part. There's partnerships in development right now. They're attempting to bring in more banks as we speak, just like Quant. But Quant is very open with wanting to do such a thing. They don't keep that quiet at all. But with that type of energy within their minds, yeah, they're going to accumulate a lot. And I don't blame them either. I don't blame them. I think a lot of people already feel like they have enough, but yeah, some don't. They want to over prepare. It's just simple as that. That's what I feel is going on here. They are preparing. So now let's move on to another article because we have a lot of articles here today. Like I said, there's chapters below just in case you choose to jump around. I don't mind. All right. Now, yes. Let's get to this article. You know what's insane? There's so much XRP news. I put out a video earlier and we had a good amount of XRP news in that one. And there's so much happening. We have stuff like this. This is on U.Today and it reads, better not be clickbaiting me, U.Today. Better not be clickbaiting me. It reads, Ripple will win now, 0 doubt. What? And so first thing I'm saying to myself, who said this? Crypto Law founder says, Uh-oh. But then it says, but there's a catch. Let me scroll down here. Hey, don't play with my emotions. I'm well disciplined, but still it's fun to say that. Don't play around. We want this victory right now. But okay, I'm trying to keep it a little entertaining. I like to have a little bit of fun. John Deaton says he is positive now that should Ripple case move to U.S. Supreme Court. I told you there was the possibility of that. I told you. But that should Ripple case move to U.S. Supreme Court, crypto giant will definitely win. I will concur, just knowing certain things. But I'm going to let Mr. Deaton elaborate here. Pro crypto lawyer John Deaton, who is also the founder of Crypto Law media outlet, has taken to Twitter to comment on the current case of Grayscale against SEC regarding the conversion of GBTC into a Bitcoin ETF. However, he took this topic a little further, of course, and made a comment regarding the current lawsuit between the SEC and Ripple Labs as to whether it should pass on to the U.S. Supreme Court as well. We shall see. Deaton is positive of Grayscale's possible win. Deaton commented on a tweet by Twitter user @AP. I don't know how to pronounce that name. I'm just going to skip that. It says, who wrote that there was a chance that the case of Grayscale could be moved to the U.S. Supreme Court. He added that, quote, sharp legal sources are impressed with Grayscale's brief in front of the D.C. Circuit and believe a win is possible. Oh, yes. I like this. Yes. We need more. This is great. I want more, but this is great. Good progress. The founder of Crypto Law stated that he reckons a win is, quote, more than possible. He considers the odds that Grayscale will win in the D.C. Circuit to be 50-50. And should the case move to U.S. Supreme Court, the chances to win against the SEC are 75 to 80%. It's pretty good. Let's scroll down here because I just want to get to the XRP news. And if you want to read the rest of the article, this is a great article here. You got to go over to u.today and read the rest of the article, okay? Give them some traffic. They've been putting in good work. But I'm just going to read this. I just want to get this little tidbit about XRP. Zero doubt. Here we go. John Deaton then stated that if the SEC's stand against Ripple would go as far as taking the case to the U.S. Supreme Court, he is certain that the court decision would be made in favor of the blockchain giant. Quote, I have zero doubt, zero doubt that the current makeup of that's what I was considering as well. Yeah. That the current makeup of the U.S. Supreme Court will rule in favor of Ripple if it goes that far. Currently, the Ripple SEC case is the responsibility of the U.S. District Court, Southern District of New York. Okay, then there's a little bit more. They have a bunch of tweets here. I'm just going to read this one. I just want to read this one tweet. It says, and after the Supreme Court's decision in West Virginia versus EPA, I have zero doubt that the current makeup of the U.S. Supreme Court will rule in favor of @Ripple if it goes that far. The SEC did not limit its allegations to only apply to Ripple sales of XRP. It went too far. There you have it, everyone. So we will see what happens. Of course, we still have what's in front of us, but now we have an inkling into what the possibilities are. For anything that may result afterward, right? So, but let's concentrate on what's in front of us now. But so far, everything is looking good. That's huge news, all right? So I don't know how many people are following John Deaton, probably everybody, but screenshot those, so save them, bookmark these tweets. This can come in handy a little bit later if we got to do a little bit more research. Just my humble opinion. I like to save everything that I can, to be honest. So now let's go on to another article here. So this article here, also on u.today, is titled, Top XRP Ledger Projects Token Achieves Listing on Bitmark. All right, let's see what they're talking about here. We'll just read this little tidbit here. The token of one of the top projects on XRP Ledger, Sologenic, has been listed on Bitmark Crypto Exchange. The Cayman Islands-based exchange with trading volume in excess of $500 million is another centralized crypto platform, along with Huobi and Gate, that decided to launch trading of perhaps the most hyped token on the XRPL other than XRP. Trading of Solo on Bitmark is already open on the spot market against USDT. The token trades at 17 cents per solo, which has 100% of its 400 millionth offering in circulation and is valued at $67 million, just about, I'm rounding, $68 million market capitalization. What's up with Sologenic and Solo? Let's read just this little tidbit here. Sologenic is an open source decentralized finance platform. Okay, so we all know that already. Listen, you want to be completely honest. I think a lot of projects on the XRPL are going to do well because they have taken what they're doing very, very seriously. Of course, we'll keep a close eye on Catalyst. We'll keep a close eye on the partnerships and the actuation of what they're saying that they are intending to do. You keep an eye on that, and then you adjust accordingly. We're not married to anything. What we're trying to do here is be very reasonable and logical about the strategic movements that we make. And if something does well, sure, we back it a little bit more. Something doesn't do well, we start to question it a little bit. Maybe we make we take some precautionary measures. But so far, I think a lot of projects on XRPL have been very strong. I think their futures are very bright, and not just on XRPL, but I mean even just working in conjunction with the utilization of XRP in any capacity. A lot of these projects look very strong. I think mostly it's because they know they're dealing with big money. So you're going to take things seriously when you're dealing with big money, because you want that to be consistent over time. And really the legacy financial system is they sort of feed you capital in waves, right? In degrees, because they don't really trust you at first. So they start out lightly, which makes sense to me. And then they progress it over time, which means you need to be successful over time if you're going to be involved with something like XRP, if you're going to be involved with something like the XRPL, right? Or in the legacy system, the legacy financial system. If you're going to be a part of the new financial system, you have to be serious and you have to have a solid project, or else you're not going to survive. Simple as that. So now let's move on here. So this is actually an article on Ripple.com, and it's titled "The State of Global CBDC Adoption" with Daryl Duffy. Now, I want to scroll down here, and I want to read this little tidbit here. It says, if central bankers in the U.S. do not move forward with developing a digital currency, one critical consideration will be how best to encourage its use by consumers. Let me read that one more time, because I think I'm missing something. If the central bankers in the U.S., so did I say do or do not? Do move forward with developing a digital currency. Sorry about that. One critical consideration will be how best to encourage its use by consumers. Given the high barriers to adoption, such as education, I've been talking about that for a long time. That education curve, it's not just the people, educating the people on how to use something. You have to educate the employees of the banks and the non-banking financial institutions on how to utilize the technology, how to monitor it, how to repair it, who to reach out to, what does it do, when do you use this, when do you do something, like all of this. There is an education curve, but I'm not the only one saying it. You've heard the Bank of International Settlements say it. You've read it yourself. All right, so let's continue on here. It says, take credit cards, for example. It's easy to imagine consumers choosing to use a credit card over a CBDC in order to earn travel or cashback rewards. Without added incentive, widespread adoption of a CBDC will be tricky. Let me stop there. This is what I was saying before about programmability. You're going to need some sort of programmability. That's why I didn't agree with what Fabio Panetta of the ECB proposed. I think we've read a lot of other central bank entities and representatives speak on utilization of programmability with smart contracts. I think that's logical. That is a key ingredient when you're talking about a digital currency and utilization of a national or central bank digital currency, right? So in order to compete with credit cards, which I don't think that they're going to be very significant, not the iteration that you see now. You see a lot of credit card companies merging with the DLTs. Early on, they started much earlier than the banks. Keep that in mind. So I think they're going to continue to evolve as well. I fully believe that. I give you an example. You look at Visa, right? Visa is not standing on its own moving into the future. Visa was experimenting with Stellar via Tala. Do you remember that? Okay. Then also Visa integrated with who? They integrated with FIS. FIS has so many banks under it. It's like a supervisory entity. But let's put the banks to the side for a moment. Who is FIS on the governing board of? FIS is on the governing board of Hedera, HBAR. So Visa even has a link to HBAR through FIS. So just as an example, Visa has many connections to the bank coins already, should they fully choose to utilize such. And they may not. But I believe that they will. They're too close to the DLTs. They're too close to the bank coins not to, in my humble opinion. And Visa was speaking very heavily about a year ago about accessing more of that B2B market, right? Just trillions of dollars. They're not going to leave that on the table. There's certain ways that they can't, the legacy system can't access certain money, certain B2B transactions. The intermediary is chewing up a lot of capital because of fees. But I just wanted to put that out there. So I think even credit cards will evolve. Let's continue on here. It says, and banks will probably not want to cannibalize their existing profitable payment services. Yeah. In response to this, countries like Bahamas and Jamaica are offering incentives to citizens to use CBDCs to purchase local goods and services. This makes choosing to use a CBDC more enticing. Let's scroll down a little bit here. So, consumer education campaigns won't be enough. The government and the Fed should actively work to surmount these challenges and boost competition and innovation in payments, which then begs the question, when do they begin? And that puts something else that we need to watch out for. A catalyst is once they begin promoting CBDCs. Then you know we're close to the tsunami. I anticipate a myriad of floods of capital that could cause a myriad of price explosions at different times. In order to know when, you just have to watch the catalyst. But the tsunami comes from the central banks. Now, once they start promoting CBDCs and such like that, then that's when I'm expecting some type of activity from the tsunami of money that they will have, a tsunami of capital, sorry about that they will have flowing through the DLTs, right? Keep in mind, the crux of XRP is interbank payments, wholesale. That's a lot of money, right? Okay. It says, irrespective of the US pace, here's something crucial to remember also. Irrespective of the US pace of CBDC development around the world, will accelerate over the coming years. The rest of the world's already ready to take off. That's what I'm saying. So even without the West, the rest of the world will initiate and actuate on CBDCs, and those prices may start to go up just because of that. Of course, we have to watch what's going on with this case. Everything is still sort of up in the air. As of right now, there hasn't been clarity on how they approach tokens. If, you know what, I'll discuss that in another video because that goes right along with the members only video that I need to put together. But here, let's continue on here. It says, whether deployed for domestic economic purposes or for cross-border payments, the usefulness of CBDCs will grow as adoption increases. Let me stop there. Now, when they say cross-border transactions, remember, they're going to need interoperability for that, because as that is going into another system, all CBDCs will be programmed differently. They will be formulated. I won't even say programmed. They'll be formulated differently for different countries, will have different purposes for their CBDC systems to run in a specific way, which means you're going to need something that brings interoperability. In steps XRP, in steps XLM, Algorand, Hedera, Quant as overledger, etc. Those are the possibilities. No guarantee, but those are the possibilities, not financial advice, okay? So now let's move on to another article here. That was pretty good. Not bad, not bad. I like rich information that actually takes me somewhere and gives me an idea of what these entities are thinking. I want to know what they're thinking so I know where things are going. So now we have a little bit of Algorand news. Yes, yes, yes. This is what I want to hear. Now, I don't know how many of you listen to this. This was posted on Algorand Foundation's Twitter. It's in, what do they call this? Is this a Twitter space? It's an audio file, okay? And it's attached to a tweet that says, Bermuda, India, Saudi Arabia, just a few of the places where at MA Paycorp is disrupting healthcare with Algorand. This is what I want to hear. But, and they're going to be in so many different places. Yes, yes, yes. I want you in as many places as possible. But when you listen to the audio, the individual who's representing the company says exactly what I've been postulating. I told people this is a while ago. Let's just put it that way. And I said the medical industry is in trouble. They need to congeal records, right? Because they want to congeal all record information together and make it easily accessible both to medical industry professionals as well as patients. Okay, that's number one. Number two, traceability. There's a lot of problems when it comes to traceability. Who put what where? Why was this placed in a certain area? Why is this missing? There's a lot of that going on. Trust me, I know. I look deeply into this type of stuff. That's number two. So they need traceability. That's two things already. So three, of course, I believe they're going to do payroll over that. That's another thing. So certain issues with pay, and sometimes there's chunks missing out of certain people's paychecks. No. They're going to have traceability. They know who typed in what, who did payroll, why did this happen here, who didn't do this. They want that. That's three. Number four, and this is what the individual mentioned, licensing. This company, if they can pull this off, we will see. We have to stay, up to date on this, abreast of the situation, privy. But the individual indicated this is what they're going to be attempting to do. They sat down in a meeting with someone who was a big, important individual. You can listen to the audio yourself, okay? They sat down with someone who was an important individual within a certain healthcare network, and they had a discussion about this. So this is serious. But if they can pull this off at the rate that they're expanding, this could be something huge. Man, Algorand just keeps on winning. I love everything that they're doing. I want them to continue because I want that algo price to go up. As simple as that. But also they simply have been the best as well. So I just have to give respect where respect is due. They've been the absolute best. And I mean, everyone who's building on them takes their job seriously as well. So that's a positive also. I haven't seen any offering building on Algorand that has been slacking in any possible way. And that's what I want if I'm looking at businesses expanding and I'm thinking about potentiality. So now let's continue on here. All right, so now we have a little bit of Stellar news, right? So Stellar made this tweet here. It's a retweet from CoinDesk Studios. And it says, it's attached to a video. It says, what we're trying to do is to be able to allow the end user to receive their aid quickly. Now, if you've been keeping up with what the IMF is doing, I've said this before. First of all, this is a great commercial. This is great advertisement. The more Stellar is talking about it, there's a reason they're talking about it. The more that they're talking about it, the more different countries and regions will become aware that this exists, and they may be able to use it outright. Because, yeah, of course, they're working in conjunction with the United Nations, but also Stellar Aid Assist is standalone. You can just use it on your own. You could also build your own offering on Stellar. So all of this plays in the mind of creative individuals who are possibly in governmental situations that may want to do it themselves. They may not want to wait on the United Nations. They may want to provide aid. Now, keep in mind, there's a lot of countries that are going to be becoming very wealthy, in my humble opinion, over the next 10 to 15 years. And they will start to have loan offerings and be able to send aid here and there to their own people and otherwise. You look at certain countries that are sitting on record amounts of gold right now. What does that do for the country if they utilize that value properly? You get what I'm saying? I think a lot of the world, the powers and structure of the world is going to be shifting around. You're going to see a very decentralized world, in my humble opinion. That's what it's looking like. If others are wise and they really want to take control of their own value, I think we're looking at a future, who knows how long it will take, but a very decentralized future where the shift of power may be quite dramatic. But I think anybody can use this. So Stellar's out there telling the people, hey, listen, Stellar Aid Assist, Stellar Aid Assist, Stellar Aid Assist. That's advertising. That's bringing awareness to the project. And that's very good. We want as much traffic as possible. Of course, people are going to be helped. That's also good. But we want as much traffic coming to Stellar as possible, creating congestion. Congestion can, not saying that it will, it can trigger surge pricing in XLM. XLM is also used to provide liquidity for otherwise illiquid assets. Every wallet must hold, which utilizes the Stellar blockchain, must hold a modicum of lumens. All of this plays a factor. So you want the blockchain being used as much as possible. So this is very, very good in my humble opinion. Okay, so then it says here, it says with Stellar Aid Assist, quote, they can have their aid within 2.5 minutes. Now, that's another reason why I said I believe there will be a lot of other offerings built on this for aid and for the transference of money. Oh, my apologies. So the IMF aspect. My apologies, I think in pieces sometimes. The IMF aspect. The IMF has been drumming up its efforts to send capital to different governments and strategic places like in Africa and Latin America. And if you look, it's in the most rebellious places the IMF has been making its presence felt. So they've been offering money to a lot of different entities. You can read about it. They're not hiding it. They offer money to these entities and then they say, well, this is to help you out. That's considered a type of aid. Now, I think that in the future, there's the possibility. Listen, Ripple is already on the advisory board for the IMF. I think there's a possibility the IMF could utilize a system like Stellar Aid Assist or just Stellar outright. Stellar could build a custom offering for the IMF. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if I were Stellar, I'd reach out to them and say, hey, listen, we see you're sending a lot of capital all over the place. We can build you something here and you'll be in control of it. But not only do I believe that the IMF could benefit from something like this for sending money all over the place. Listen, and I don't agree with the IMF on about almost anything, except for if they're going to issue a CBDC that's going to bring us generational wealth by utilizing one of the bank coins. I don't believe that they would use XRP, even though for sending aid here and there. Listen, we don't need them to. XRP is for those interbank payments. Let's keep that big money flowing through XRP. That's why I say that. I believe Stellar will be a little bit better for sending these smaller payments. I don't think they're going to be as big as interbank payments. We're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars that could scale up to quadrillions after a while. If you see the flow of money that the banks are just, well, not money, but like the value that the banks are moving around. So XRP does that. XLM for retail CBDCs, aid and things like that. I think that they can dominate in that way. And I keep an eye on that. So that's something that's on my mind. But also that there can be a lot of independent actors building to utilize Stellar to send aid around the world as well. So I don't know if I put that eloquently, but that's what I'm thinking about here. And I believe that's why Stellar is doing so many interviews about Stellar Aid Assist. It's a great advertisement. So now let's move on to another article here. So I also wanted to look into, if I can pull this up for a moment, I went and I looked into, I wanted to get an update on Icici Bank. Now, the reason why is because I remember India was releasing like a wholesale CBDC. It was like a wholesale CBDC in last year, October or November. And then I just I vaguely remember that they were supposed to issue their retail CBDC in somewhere like December. Now, remember, Icici Bank is in India, and Icici Bank is utilizing Stellar blockchain for sending money in different places, right? Stellar is their bank coin. Okay, so this is important to know. So I wanted to get an update to find out what's going on with that CBDC project. So what I found is that even though India did roll out, this is what they're saying, roll out their wholesale CBDC and roll out their retail CBDC. Keep in mind, they're testing it out. They're calling it a pilot phase. Really, it's like a test. It's a test run. They're only testing it between like a tiny bit of banks, a tiny bit of banks. So just keep that in mind. So Icici Bank, out of that tiny allotment of banks, is only going to see a tiny little bit of value coming into them because of that test, right? It hasn't expanded to all of India, for example. And what they're saying is they're going to be testing things in phases. So now what the real question is, in my humble opinion, is how much of the infrastructure has been completed by Stellar for Icici Bank to begin using it? Like, what is the status on that? So that's what I'm looking into right now. So India has a CBDC that they're testing in a very, very tiny ecosystem, if you will. But Icici Bank is a part of that, but only a small amount of value is moving through it. I'm trying to sum everything up. However, we don't know the status of the completion of whatever system they're supposed to be using that's running across Stellar. So I'll continue looking into that. If I find anything, I definitely will bring it and you all will know about it. Okay. But that's where we are right now. So now let's move on to here. A little bit of quant news, if this website ever loads up. So this actually was an article from the other day. As you saw, everything in the market was doing very well. But I wanted to highlight this little bit here. Quant's plans. So it says here, somewhere up top, I believe, it says the all-time high of Quant, which was, oh, here it is. The biggest surge, it says, took place between late July and early September 2021, when Quant made a new all-time high, reaching $427. That was before all the partnerships. That was before SIA Chain and SIA Partners. That was before LAC Chain. And everything that they've been doing so far, especially with the Digital Pound Foundation. Can you imagine what Quant is going to go to in the next true bull run? Or when that utility kicks in, can you imagine where that price can go? $427 without the utility kicking in. And QNT is used for literally everything on Quant Network. Think about that for a moment, right? And you know how easily Quant can explode, because last year in that bloody bull market, Quant was exploding. It was quite fun, wasn't it? Quant brought the excitement, QNT. So if it explodes like that with no catalyst at all and the utility didn't even kick in, imagine what happens when all of that is initiated, when all of that is happening. So now let's scroll down here. I want to scroll down here. They got a nice little section here. This is on the cryptonomist.ch, okay? It says here, Quant's plans. Obviously, the fortunes of QNT cryptocurrency are inextricably linked to those of Quant's ecosystem. Quant is working on developing international standards for crypto bridges. Actually, Quant is a bridgeless system, but maybe that was just mistyped, or maybe there's something that I don't know. I don't proclaim to know everything. It says, or those solutions that allow tokens to be used even on blockchains other than those on which they were created. Let me add something. Let me drop something in there. Listen, what Quant is actually focused on, if you read a lot of the documents, and they're very active when it comes to putting out documents, what they're doing is they're acting as a layer, not just between blockchains. They're acting as a layer, an interoperability layer between the legacy system and the new financial system. No one else right now is doing that with a bridgeless system like Quant is. They can do it right now. No bridges necessary. That's unbelievable, right? So that's what I have been reading that they're working on primarily. They've been working exclusively, like primarily with big banks, What's going to come of that? Who knows? We have to wait and see. There's no guarantees in anything, but let's hope that a lot of what they're working on is actuated, and that will cause explosion, the likes of which I don't think anyone's ever seen. QNT has a lower circulating supply than Bitcoin. Just wrap your mind around it. Lower circulating supply than Bitcoin, with more utility than most utility tokens. All right. It says here, according to Quant's founder, CEO Gilbert Verdian, the most important news this year is expected to come from the area of security and regulations. It will also increase the focus on CBDCs, although ongoing politicization, sorry about that, of these initiatives could be a hindrance. Another key issue is tokenization. All right, so now let's move on here, because we have just a few more articles left here. We're doing pretty good. Hope everyone out there is doing well. So we're just going to briefly touch on this article here. It's from zcrypto.com. It says China unveils Ripple's competitor for stablecoins and CBDC payments. Now, that title is very tricky because in one way, you could say, sure, it could be viewed as a competitor because they're trying to do something similar. But in another way, that title's sort of made to try to provoke some kind of panic, like, oh my goodness, there's another competitor to XRP. Listen, the contention that China has with the United States and the West means that none of those Western powers are going to use the system. And yet, China and the United States and all of the West really have to still interact. So China probably is not going to want to be using SWIFT in the future, right? Or are they sanctioned out of SWIFT? Are they one of the ones that are sanctioned out of SWIFT? Maybe they are. I don't know. But let's say SWIFT is not going to be utilized, all right? But the West is not also going to use the China system either, because the West is very paranoid about China. They don't want China stealing. They think they even try to ban TikTok, all right? And I'm not saying they're right or wrong on that. I'm just saying that shows that they don't trust China. So they both these sides need a way to still transact with each other, interface with each other without trust, right? So you're going to need an agnostic bridge currency. It could be XLM. It could be XRP, right? Algorand. What I'm saying is the bridge coins, the bank coins, the liquidity coins, the agnostic bridge currencies can win in this instance. I told you, it seems like all of these nations and banks are going to need an agnostic bridge currency because they can't interface with each other. They don't trust each other. So that's a positive for us. So in that way, no, they're not a competitor for Ripple or the XRPL rather, because we can operate anywhere. Our only limitation is us. That's it. The only thing that can hold us back is us. If we acquiesce to certain demands and say, oh yeah, we're going to go along with what this side is saying, so we're not going to operate with them. Only we decide where we're limited. Other than that, we can operate everywhere with no limitation. China cannot operate everywhere without limitation. Not above board anyway. All right. So no, I don't see them as a competitor. This is no threat to XRP. I don't view them as a competitor. So now let's continue on here. And after this, I'm going to go guzzle some water. That's why my mouth is like super dry for no reason at all. So now I'm going to just put this here so we can keep an eye on this. This is from bncrypto.com. BIS, Bank of International Settlements, Project Icebreaker aims to streamline international payments via CBDCs. Over 100 countries are researching CBDCs, although the technology is still in its infancy. Currently, there has been limited work on how different CBDCs will work with each other. This is what I was saying earlier. No one knows how all of these different CBDCs are going to be formulated. So if that is not known, how can they have interoperability, right? Certain countries are going to want more traceability and they have that power. Certain countries are going to have to allow the citizens privacy. How do smart contracts become involved in that? Which platforms are they built on? Are those platforms good when it comes to interoperability? Then on top of that, intermediaries is a problem. Trust me on this. Hey, click that join button, get in that members only section, watch that last video I put out. That's all I'll say on that. But they literally, as far as what they're saying, if we are to believe the documents they're putting out, they need interoperability badly, but they're racing against the clock to try to find some way to have interoperability. Another thing is regulations. That's another thing we can provide. We provide interoperability without having to worry about violation of any type of regulatory standings, right? Or regulatory legal frameworks, or however you want to put that. We can provide that. They can't, because of their situation, their standing as banks and having to follow certain regulations and certain laws and such like that, and not being decentralized, right? So they can't just operate wherever they want to and have their technologies doing whatever they want it to do in other regions that are run by other powers, right? They can't have that. So that's a problem that they're trying to solve as well. So it says here, currently there has been limited work on how different CBDCs will work with each other to allow for immediate cross-border payments and remittances, right? It says, BIS Innovation Hub, BIS housed Committee on Payments and Market Infrastructures, International Monetary Fund, wow, they're bringing out all the big ones, and World Bank jointly published a report titled Options for Access to and Interoperability of CBDCs for Cross-Border Payments in July last year. Project Icebreaker aims to take that work a step further. The Bank of Israel's governor, Amir Yaron, spoke about the project at the World Economic Forum last week. Quote, "We are in the midst of a technological revolution in the payment system. I believe it is the first CBDC retail experiment that takes a retail payment from a household or a merchant in Israel, paying in shekels and transferring it back to somebody in Sweden or Norway." Yaron also said that eventually CBDCs could remove the need for stable coins altogether. Is that so? We shall see. We shall see. That's big talk. But we'll keep an eye on all of this. Now, let's move on here. I have two articles here. One is okay, so we have two articles left. So this one here is about the housing market. It's from globest.com. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a little read here. Goldman Sachs, 4 cities face 2008 sized crash in housing prices. Let's go here. This is Goldman Sachs is forecasting that 4 U.S. cities should brace for a decline in housing prices of more than 25%. Woo! A plunge not seen since the housing market collapsed in 2008. In an advisory to clients this month, Goldman said home prices in San Jose, Austin, Phoenix, and San Diego will experience boom to bust pendulum swings that will likely take prices down this year by more than 25%. It said more before. I'm acting like I just read it. I'm sorry. I just heard before when I read it. I only registered in my mind is going down 25%. And this time the more really hit me in the mind. More than 25%. Holy smokes. Compared to 2022 peaks, the New York Post reported. So they're giving you multiple sources now to corroborate this. The Wall Street investment titan said these declines will rival, the collapse in home prices during the Great Recession, which saw prices fall 27% as measured by the S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller Index. Other major U.S. markets that Goldman forecasts will see home prices declining by more than 10% include Tampa. Here we go, people. Start taking down this list. Tampa, Dallas, Denver, Las Vegas, San Francisco, Portland, and Seattle. However, Goldman also projected that the national decline in home prices would be small enough to avoid the widespread foreclosures that were seen in the Great Recession. We will see, Goldman. We will see. I've heard others saying the same thing, but this really puts the sprinkles on top. You know what I mean? Like, this really rams it home. Quote, this national decline should be small. Okay, so they're reiterating this. So that said, overheated housing markets in the Southwest and Pacific Coast, such as San Jose, MSA, Austin, MSA, Phoenix, MSA, and San Diego, will likely grapple with peak to trough declines over 25%, presenting localized risk of higher delinquencies for mortgages originated in 2022 or late 2021, Goldman's advisory to clients said. Okay, once again, this article is on Globest, GLOBEST.com. All right, if you want to read the rest of this, there's a whole lot more to this. So now, let's close this video out with a little bit of gold news. Appreciate every single one of you being here with me. Thank you so much. I humbly thank you. Thank you so much. So, this is from Schroders.com. And it goes as such. What could a U.S. recession mean for gold and gold equities? It's written by James Luke, fund manager. Okay, so here we go. Financial markets have been anticipating a U.S. recession for some time. One clear signal is the inverted U.S. yield curve, meaning that long-term interest rates are below short-term ones. That is typically a sign or signal, sorry about that, typically a signal that recession is coming sooner or later. The very weak U.S. ISM services data released a couple of weeks ago suggests a recession could be coming pretty soon. Let's scroll down here and get to the gold. I want to hear about the gold, sir. How gold and gold equities performed in previous U.S. recessions. Wait, whoa, hold on a moment. Bear with me one moment. All right. 2 more reasons to be positive on gold equities. Aside from the typically strong performance during recessions, of course, everybody retreats to gold. There's a store of value. That will not change. That will not change. You want to protect your value? Gold. Simple as that. In my humble opinion, says we would also highlight 2 other reasons for taking a positive view on gold and gold equities. Firstly, the overall operating environment for gold equities looks to be improving into 2023. Certainly, it is unlikely to be as difficult as in 2022. Last year, gold producer profit margins were squeezed between rising costs, oil, steel, labor, and falling gold prices. This led to gold producer equities underperforming bullion. We could see margins re-expand this year with stronger gold prices. On the cost side, some areas are seeing outright falls already. In stickier areas like labor, we expect some slowdown. And cost rises after what have been strong increases since the redacted, particularly in North America and Australia. Secondly, gold producer equities remain at cheap levels on the long-term view, and investors are still extremely under positioned. Yeah, I expect that, taking all things into account, I expect an explosion in gold price, but we will adjust accordingly and we'll see how everything goes. But if things get a little bit worse, there's a great possibility that it can. People will retreat to protect their value in gold, in my humble opinion. Okay, so there's a lot more to this article here. We're going to leave it at that. And if you want to read the rest of this article, Schroders.com. All right. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.